Welcome, sir.
Yeah, very good evening, Saurav. How are you doing?
We are doing good, sir. How are you?
Yes, so good to see familiar faces after such a long time.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, Mayank. Good
Hi,
evening, Shri
sir.
Nandini.
Good evening.
Yes, hello, Nandini.
Right. So,
Yes.
sir, we will start now. We are live on Facebook.
Right.
It's my privilege and honor to welcome Mr. Rahul Kapoor, the Director of Smart City Mission and of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So he is not only the director, but also a mentor and guide for all the fellows of the ministry as well. And we have been very fortunate to get his guidance throughout our internship fellowship, and also the new batch are equally getting his guidance. Also, I'm really delighted and happy to welcome my former colleagues and the senior fellows of Smart City Mission, Srinandini, Nandini, and Mayank. So I will just, yeah. So welcome, guys. Welcome. So, sir, today's session, we have kept the theme as citizen participation and good governance. And Youth for Good Governance is observing the Good Governance Week, considering Good Governance Day, which is on 25th December. And the theme has been kept as citizen participation and good governance in context of smart city, because since the launch of smart city mission, I think the mission is trying to create a very good model how better we can engage with the citizens in the urban space. And while I was associated with the fellowship, I think the learnings which I have from the fellowship, the kind of knowledge I have gained by interacting with visionary leader like Kunal sir, you, Janki ma'am, which gave me that courage, or you can say that confidence to launch a platform and work for the vision of greater citizen engagement, especially the youth. And sir, before we start today's session, we would like to thank you from my entire team that you have given us time. And so here we start. Sir, while I was in the ministry and having seen the programs, I could have this kind of a knowledge that the role of civic engagement is becoming even more important as urban growth and sprawl is straining the capacity of cities to provide services, and the challenges cities face continue to be increasingly complex. So, sir, as the director of the Smart City Mission, so what is the future of citizen participation, according to you?
Okay, thank you, Saurav. And of course, talking about the future of citizen participation, first we need to understand that why it's so important to engage the citizens and in youth, and the youth specifically, because this whole event is about youth for governance, for good governance. Now, if you look at it, when we talk about keeping citizens in focus and citizens should be the core of all our planning, the idea is basically that you need to align your aspirations of the citizens to your planning process. I think there's a lot of background noise.
Yeah, we need to mute everyone.
Yeah. I think you need to mute everyone excepting sir, because
yeah. Yeah, sorry. Sorry for that. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
So I'll just restart. Basically, what we need to understand is that when we keep talking about having the citizen at focus with regard to our planning process, it's very important to understand what is it that a citizen wants. And that's where the whole question of citizen engagement comes about. And when the Smart Cities mission was actually started, this concept of engaging with the people in the whole process of planning for the mission, and it was a very bottoms-up approach. There were a lot of innovative ways in which cities undertook citizen engagement. And finally, the smart cities proposals came up, the projects started getting implemented, and there was still a need. And this need was that although the projects are getting implemented, whether they are able to meet those aspirations that we had initially planned or that we had initially tried to achieve for our citizens. So how you have to make it as a part of your city governance process, that this engagement remains as a sustainable effort on your part. That is very important. And that is why when you look at the kind of programs that we are trying to do, the kind of programs with regard to the Indian Smart Cities Fellowship Program, wherein all of you who are future leaders of urban, and I'll just share with you that how it all came about, that why this ISCF program was conceptualized. So the idea was that we keep talking about newer things happening in the smart cities, newer technologies getting implemented, a lot of data talk happening. And where was the capacity? Where is the... can you just give me a second?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm really sorry, it was
No problem, sir.
the ministry.
Yeah.
So yes. So like I was telling you how this whole Smart Cities Fellowship program also came about. So this need for urban capacity and how we need to basically build that kind of future leadership, in the cities. And that's why this ISCFP program was very important. And several projects were undertaken in this program. Of course, a few of you are here today in this panel who will be talking about their project on citizen engagement. And even the next batch of fellows, they are basically taking this project forward. And that's the whole beauty of it. We try to infuse young leadership into the city working, and that brings in a lot of new insight. And that's how we can improve upon our processes, upon our methods of working. And it's really an amazing experience. I mean, when you're talking about engagement with youths, there are programs like the TULIP program, the Urban Leadership and Internship, the Urban Learning and Internship program. Now, this is basically the most meaningful engagement that cities can do with youths. And it's the best way to understand how a government functions and how it can actually get that feedback loop that we keep missing in our systems. So several such initiatives, I think going forward, when you actually look at the kind of outcomes that you want to achieve without having a proper feedback loop, without engaging with your stakeholders, be it the citizens or be it the other stakeholders that you work with, you need to work in creating those kind of enabling platforms in the government, and you need to engage with them. So when you're talking to me about what the future of engagement is going to be like, I think it is going to be a lot of virtual engagement would be there, so that your whole stakeholder base increases tremendously. Instead of just looking at the traditional or conventional methods of engagement, you look at new and innovative ways. And I think COVID has given us that opportunity to reach out in more newer and more innovative ways. So I think that's what I feel would be the future.
Right, sir. So also, sir, in the city sphere, we find that there are a lot of people who come and stay for a temporary basis on a job basis. So they don't feel that kind of a connect with the locality where they're staying as far as governance is concerned. So how the smart city or the existing system trying to get a holistic engagement in that perspective?
So it's a very important point that you have raised. In fact, this issue came to the fore, especially during the COVID lockdowns, when the migrant crisis became quite difficult to manage. And herein, what the smart cities try to do, of course, they did try to leverage technologies. And we have to remember that this was never an area which was really thought of, and how do we plan for this kind of a pandemic, or how do we plan for this kind of a crisis? It was something that the cities were facing for the first time. But technology, of course, was a very good facilitator here when we talk about how it helped in, let us say, communication or in information dissemination. And when somebody is coming to a locality and the method of engagement has to be novel, especially in areas where lockdowns are happening. So that's where the integrated command and control centers helped in. There were apps that were released which allowed for such kind of citizen engagement. There were various kind of digital medias or platforms that were being used to understand the needs or requirements of people. So yes, technology plays a very important role in connecting with people, and that's what the Smart Cities mission is trying to do actually.
Right. And even, sir, I think during COVID also, the IEEE Center has played a very crucial role, I think, in terms of showing the right kind of data and leading in that front. So if you would like to state few success stories, how they kind of went about.
I think when you're talking about ICCCs, I would like to start with Bangalore, which actually did not have an ICCC, but it actually created a war room in 24 hours flat. And of course, it was not something that happened just by the government trying to push and get an ICCC up and running. It happened because there was a lot of citizen engagement that took place before that. And not when I'm talking about citizen engagement, it's not only the people, but it's about all the stakeholders who matter in the urban ecosystem. It's the industry partners, it is the civic society, it is the academic institutions which were there in that city. They all came together, worked together, created a roadmap, set up a COVID war room in 24 hours. And not only that, they basically created an operational framework and document for other cities to replicate. And that's how this whole thing got replicated in a very fast manner when we talk about scale up. And that's how you need to basically not only design for yourself, but design so that others can learn from you. That's how peer-to-peer networking works. That's how good governance happens at speed and scale. So the COVID situation actually gave us this opportunity to replicate the best practices that were happening in Agra, or let us say in Surat, in other smart cities as well.
Right, sir. Right. And sir, also when you are talking about the citizen engagement, this term kind of came to existence after the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act in 1992, where there were some reforms that bestowed the constitutional power to institutions of local self-governance. And there were some institutionalized platforms which was created also after the launch of the Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Missions, like the Enact Community Participation Law or the Community Participation Fund, etc. But the enactment and execution of these laws, provisions, and policies has been, you can say, a little slow or not that effective at a lot of places. So after the launch of Smart City Mission, is there any plan to give a better look to these models or do something new to institutionalize these platforms?
So actually, if you look at it, how platforms evolve and what kind of platforms work. So, if you're looking at social media, just looking at the example of how it all started with Orkut, but maybe Orkut was probably not the first social media platform. It started with some kind of chat messengers, and then slowly it evolved to Orkut. And then Orkut was suddenly taken over by Facebook. And today we have so many other channels like Twitter, Instagram, and there are different medias for communication and social media outreach, right? Now, same way when you're talking about platforms, you have to understand that today things are evolving very fast. They have a shelf life, and the needs and aspirations or the demands keep changing and updating and upgrading. So that's how we need to constantly evolve. The shelf life of product and technology is going to reduce in future. We all know that how even your startups have a very shorter shelf life now, and the product that you come out with, it has even a shorter shelf life. So it's an evolutionary process. And I guess with the Smart Cities mission, we tried to plug in some of those challenges that were there in earlier governance mechanisms. So the institutional delivery mechanism was reinvented, wherein an SPV was created. Now, many a times in certain cities, sometimes people look at SPV as conflicting with the whole arrangement of the 74th Amendment. But it's not the case. Basically, what an SPV does is it becomes an extension of an urban local body, wherein it gives you the flexibility which would normally not be available with you. flexibility in terms of execution of projects, in terms of getting the best know-how and skill sets within the organization to work on projects that are tech intensive or things which are very novel or new. So it just gives you a novel idea, novel way of working. And who knows, maybe tomorrow we'll have a completely new institutional mechanism of delivery of these services. So things will keep evolving, and same with platforms. So a platform that was probably built during JNNURM, maybe it will evolve or mutate into something much better or something which would be much more useful and context specific. So that is why the approach with the fellows will also be talking about their project on citizen engagement. Now, if you look at it, sorry, so that project itself, we are trying to scale it up. And our scale up is not happening from a top-down approach, like this is a project that every city should replicate. No, that's not the way to go forward. The way to go forward is give something to the city and let them work on it. Let them see what is more context specific for them. Let them change it to their requirements, to their local needs, and then make a better version of it and give it back to the ecosystem. And that's the approach which I think Nandini, Sri Nandini, and Mayank would be talking about when they talk about their project.
Right. And sir, like, how do you think that the youth who are not engaged, like within the system, like in the model of a fellowship or a internship, like a TULIP, can create a sustainable citizen engagement platform by working from outside the system, maybe in terms of civil society or schools or colleges? How do you look at youth who are in that station?
See, what I see is I'm already seeing that change happening, starting
Right.
with the 40 of you who started with the first batch of fellowship and the current batch of fellowship which is running. And I'm very happy to share, we just got approval to initiate the third batch program.
Oh,
So
that
we'll
is
be
a very
starting on
good
that.
news for
Yeah.
people who are watching it.
Yes. So for them, I think we'll be starting the process very soon, and probably first week of January we would be coming out with the new applications, invitation for applications. So that's one thing. What I see is that all these youth who connect, who become aware of the programs, like TULIP has 10,000 plus registrations. 3,500 people applied when the 40 of you got selected, and these 3,500 people get to know about the mission, get to know about what the program is, and when you go out back into the system, you create that kind of a multiplier effect. Just like money has a multiplier effect, same way the energy that you people bring in, that has a multiplier effect when you go back into the society. And it creates replicable models all around. And sometimes it just comes back to us from another channel, and then you realize that it has actually come a full circle. So we are just waiting for that full circle to complete.
Okay, sir. So we're just hopeful that we will be able to definitely like meet your expectation, and we hope that we also continue getting your support, yours and other support in multiplying this effect. And sir, the last question from mine today. So you see that we're not born knowing how to be great citizens. So how democracy works, or what is required to ensure it serves everyone. So how do you think we can teach our next generation how to be effective citizens through a systematic, intentional, and holistic approach?
So this is a very difficult question to answer. It's, I think, something that comes from within. And, it's all, I keep saying it's all a reflection of the society, how we are, what we want to become. And idea is have good role models, have the right kind of mentors, and we need to invest a lot in creating mentors or creating leaders. And I think that will have a very important effect on how we look at things, how we perceive things, and how we want to engage with. There are certain cities that have very active civil society communities, cities like Pune. And there are certain cities where the community is not so proactive, where people are quite apathetic to the situation, and they're quite cynical about the systems. And everybody thinks it's the government's responsibility to do that. Now, if you have the right kind of leadership, right kind of mentors, one, that is going to have a very strong catalytic effect. Secondly, it's a societal thing. If you, for example, I give you the example of Japan and how things work there. They take 7 minutes to clean a Shinkansen coach. I mean, that's one Shinkansen is the high-speed train there, and one entire coach is cleaned in just 7 minutes. Wherein over here we take something like 2 to 3 hours to clean one coach, right? Now, how is it that they're able to do it in 7 minutes? So I actually was there to witness it firsthand. So when the train stops at the station, there's a person standing outside with a bag to collect all the waste. So all the passengers will drop the waste in that bag. Surprisingly, I do not find anybody coming with any waste. There was very little, even if there was, because most of the people would carry their own waste. So one situation is over. So the person is only required to check whether there's anything left behind, which in 99.99% cases is nothing left behind, at least by the citizens there. He just turns around the seat and then he comes out. And then the entire system is like that the people outside, they give a big round of applause to this cleaning crew. Now, this is how the society functions, wherein it all becomes a community thing. It's like the people saying that this is our system and this is our responsibility to make it run, to make it go, and to make it work. Wherein in certain places, it's always somebody else's responsibility. So that whole thing happens with the kind of value system that we inculcate, with a feeling of belongingness. And when we are talking about it, one important component that the Smart Cities mission has to inculcate in the way forward would be behavior change communication. How do we do that? And how that's what something some of the fellows are trying to do, how to bring about that change in the way we think, the way we work, and the way we get that feeling of belongingness to our systems. So I think that would be the factor. I think
I was on mute. Yeah. So in the curriculum also there is a need for including how about citizenship, so that children are much more aware of all this discipline right from the school days, and learns to be a responsible citizen.
Definitely, Mayank, and definitely Saurabh, sorry. And in fact, like I talked about the first point about having the right kind of mentor. See, how many mentors do we read about? How many leaders do we read about in the Indian context? I mean, you keep hearing about international leaders, but when you have to look inside, there are several examples, but they are never documented. They are never basically advocated. So even within the urban system, if you look at there are so many leaders who are available. You have witnessed some of them. And same way with all of us, including me. I mean, we have seen people who have been great dynamic leaders. These are the mentors who we need to look up to, and that's very important to actually advocate such kind of leaders in the ecosystem so that people become more aware of them, be it in banking, be it in social sector, be it in environment. So you just need to know our leaders.
Right, sir. So I will just open the floor for questions from the audience, if any. Yes, any questions from? Okay, I think they get to interact with you quite often. So, okay. So Sharanya, if I can invite you for the vote of thanks. It was really a pleasure to interact you after almost well, over phone it was, but yes, through virtual means after so many months. And yes, sir, and we hope that we get your support and wisdom in our journey as well. So we are able to create, fulfill some of the visions of what the smart city has, what you, Kunal sir, Janaki ma'am had through this platform in a small way, whatever is possible from our end. Sharanya?
Yes. Hi, sir. This is Sharanya from YFGG. It's been this is my first time, and I'm really privileged to listen to you. And personally, I felt this session, I could relate to this session a lot because of the last segment that you said, because I am from a biotechnology background, completely non-technical from what we're talking here. But for me, this was more like a gate pass. When you said you can look up to leaders like you, to people like you who can, design the roadmap ahead for us. I feel if I can relate to this, then I'm sure anybody who's watching this will definitely be able to relate to everything that you just said. And if you will just allow me a second, when you spoke about, all the fact that only when we do is when we learn. So that got me into thinking, and that reminded me of this very famous quote, which I'm sure everybody here would know. I hear, I forget. I see and I remember, I do and I understand. So I completely second with you on this, Rahul sir. It's only by doing that we learn, and only while we learn do we do. So it just goes, synonymous with each other. So thank you so much, sir, for taking time out and adding so much value to our webinar today. I really enjoyed it on a very personal level, considering this is the first time I heard you. And I'm sure I would be really happy if we could collaborate in the future as well as a YFGG team.
Thank you so much.
Wishing you a great evening ahead, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. And yes, hopefully we get to see you some other time in some other occasion on this platform.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So yes, moving on to the second part of our event today. So we have the Smart City Fellows with us, and they're working on a very interesting project. It's a citizen engagement. So it's about the entire vision and mission of our organization, and they have already worked on this project for a couple of years, and they have done a lot of hard work going to smart cities, collecting data and interacting with a lot of administrations, people, conducting event. So we are here to interacting with them. And once more, I welcome Mayank, Nandini, and Srinandini. So guys, so we started this program, so it was like a ocean, and we had to choose from a range of topics that what you have to do. So what was your motivation behind choosing this topic of citizen engagement? So any one of you could answer. I will not take out call names. So your teamwork.
So let me start off. Like you mentioned, you're absolutely right. The world was our oyster when we started on choosing a topic. But I know that Shri and Mayank particularly wanted to work on governance, whereas we have a fourth teammate who couldn't be here today. But Gulshan and I wanted to work on issues of inclusivity. So something that Rahul sir said, that the idea of citizen engagement, it's been a very bottom led approach. Like cities have had a lot of they've had a lot of innovative ideas on how citizens can be included in the process of urban transformation. And so that's something that we wanted to really investigate and sort of break down more closely. And that's those are some of the kernels of ideas that really led to the formation of our project. And so we started with like many different ideas. We had a lot of we were going in like 24 different directions. And it's only through a process of working out what is a feasible solution, what is something that we can really devote a lot of time to, that we came to this idea over here. Shri, Mayank, if you'd like to add something.
Since we have already created and compiled certain thoughts together, so Saurav, if you allow us, we can share our screen. And
sure, why not? We all are eager to know the project which you have done, and so this project I think is a very different.
More on showcasing on the project, we would actually like to begin with that where we actually started from.
Please.
You mentioned that we were actually lost in an ocean of so many urban challenges. So I think I'll quickly share my screen. Nandini, if you would like to start from here.
Sure. We've actually been talking about what citizen engagement would, what it can do and its transformational powers and, how it can be done. But let's take a step back and really look at everybody is like, as a person who lives in the country today, whether you're a migrant to a city or if you're a lifelong resident of where you are engaging with government, whether or not you know it. So you've definitely used one or more of these things. You've used a government website or you've used an app, whether that's to get information, whether that's to pay your bills, whether that's to, lodge a complaint. You've definitely done it. Next is MyGov. It's the largest platform of its kind, I believe. The numbers that it garners are absolutely, sort of revelatory, and the kind of reach that it has is phenomenal. Next, there's obviously also helplines and phone lines. I don't need to talk about how each one of us has used these for a range of issues. So this image also has a couple of ideas of why you would have used a helpline. But now, obviously, the idea of the helpline has become more sort of integral, especially in the light of the pandemic. We've seen that the helpline can actually act as a big force for triangulating and providing information, just as a means of information dissemination. Nothing really beats it. Shri, next slide, please. Some of the other ways. You've definitely been to a municipal corporation or a district administration office, especially if you're a small or large business owner. If you have any kind of like licensing work that you ever have to interact with, you've definitely been here. One of the main ways that your local government interacts with you, whether that's an active or passive interaction, that depends on you. But the main method of information dissemination is also posters and sort of billboards of various kinds. So all the information that we sort of take for granted that we receive from our governments, these are basically through jingles and targeted ads. Something that's happened with the advent of telecommunication to citizen engagement, even before we get into our virtual platforms, whether our MC is on Facebook or not, before we get into that, we have to remember that governments have been using television, radio, these channels so actively. Like, I want to give the example of the polio eradication project, which was by large driven by personality driven advertisements. And this is a method of citizen engagement, whether or not we know it, because these are targeted towards us. So this is something that's all pervasive, and we don't really need to question why it's so important and how this plays a role in our lives. Shri, next, please. So, this is what we've encountered as citizens ourselves. But Shri, Mayank and I, we really wanted to understand, but since we had the opportunity to work with the government, with the central government, it's a humongous platform. I don't think we need to get into that more. But it's utilizing that platform, we really wanted to understand what were the means and challenges of engagement. So citizen engagement is mandatory. It is mandated not only by the constitutional amendments, but also now you cannot really focus on delivering any project without getting into citizen engagement. So what it means is being able to follow mandates, maximizing participation in projects, receiving inputs and feedback. Also, something that's very interesting is that when we went and interviewed the CEO of the New Delhi Smart City, she told us that, one of the big reasons why we should invest in citizen engagement is to reduce vandalism. So I'm sure you guys have seen this. The municipal corporation or the district administration has put up a new project somewhere, and then immediately within 2 days, it's completely vandalized. So one of the reasons why governments are interested in citizen engagement is to really address this problem. Next is the idea of closing the communication loop. So if I, as a citizen, have put up a feedback or have communicated an idea, the idea is that the government then responds to my idea in some or the other way. For citizens, it would mean being able to participate in cities' development and especially communicate the needs of the specially abled and the senior citizens. Shri, can we go to the next slide, please, to talk about the challenges? Shri, would you like to take the challenges?
Yeah, so already Nandini has created this narrative that how we started with this entire process. But as she was already mentioning that initially when we were hitting all the smart cities and trying to speak to the officials and getting to understand what actually the problem lies, like even if there is a lot of push from the urban administration, but what is actually the problem? Why don't citizens want to engage? We actually found these 5 kind of problems. So just to highlight, firstly, definitely it's like a multiplicity of channels which is like, and on the process, sustained and meaningful engagement reduces due to these so many multiplicity of challenges, and that really needs to be streamlined. Secondly, the inadequate participation. So of course, Smart Cities mission is like the first kind of its mission where, this actually mandate of citizen engagement started. But definitely it was before the ideation stage, and when the smart cities were actually submitting their proposals in the initial stages of competition. But this participation needs to be sustained. This needs to be continued in all the stages of project lifecycle, be it planning and especially before implementation and monitoring, which we actually saw that was missing from majority of the cities. Thirdly, definitely, we know this is like a huge challenge, that is this budget and time constraint, which I think all the ULBs, whether it's large or small scale ULBs, they always face, because of course there is limited terms, limited resources, limited time for actually effective modes of citizen engagement, and therefore those are not considered. Definitely this leads to an exclusionary citizen, city planning, which leads to leave out mainly the marginalized groups, and definitely so we tend to lose out on their diverse occupations and the different kinds of citizen groups which exist in the city. And that ideally leads to the low usage of projects. So even right now, the Smart Cities mission finished its first phase of implementation. But even though like the progress has been really good in the last 2 years, but before that, the usage of projects was very much low because people were unaware of the concepts. Of course, as already Rahul sir was mentioning, people were not feeling this sense of belongingness to the project because they were not consulted. I mean, their demands and assessments were not catered to. So this ultimately leads to low usage of projects ultimately. So, so ideally, which we as a team thought that what, successful citizen engagement would mean. And also, when we spoke to many city administrators and of course, Rahul sir, Kunal sir from the ministry, we got to know that these 5 points are extremely necessary. That citizen engagement, firstly, it should be mandated. Whether any national program or any national mission is announced, this has to be mandated, which ultimately needs to create an ownership, citizens feeling this sense of belongingness and ownership to their city, to the projects, to the services they are being provided. Of course, receive inputs, projects, as I was talking in the last slide, that, you need to be consulted in all the life cycle of the project. So that is, this inputs and this feedback is extremely necessary. And of course, the most important part, that is, closing this feedback loop, closing this communication loop. And essentially, we as a team we have tried to kind of build our product on this line to close this feedback loop. But I'm sure like many organizations are still working on this, and definitely serve special needs, be it senior citizens, be it people with special needs, be it marginalized groups. So the entire diverse citizen group has to be, consulted in order to build cities. So Saurav, do we go on to the product, or you would like to ask something before that?
Sri, you can continue with the slides, so the audience will also get a better understanding about your product and the project as well.
Yeah. So we would not really go too much into the live version of the product because it's officially still not launched. But definitely we have captured some screenshots which we would like to share with the audience. And so our product, we started with this, that what kind of a solution do we, bring into the forefront? And as I was speaking of, that we need to, close this communication loop and, enable the municipalities to engage with the diversity of the citizens. And this is where we have created this product of engaging people for inclusive cities. So it is, the the first phase of the product is definitely for the city administrators to use this toolkit, to engage their citizens. So as I go more into the product, you'll understand. But first, how we started was, we really wanted to build, the use cases which we can actually implement and which are actually from real ground. So what we did was, firstly, we kind of selected a city where so we selected actually Chandigarh as a city because there was like 30 kinds of diverse citizen groups which existed in the city. And what we tried to do was we tried to implement 14 kind of online and offline activities, which I think, Saurav, you were already mentioning when you were asking this question, that
Right.
these events which we had conducted. So ideally, starting with the activities, of course, here I would like to take our mentors' names, that is Dr. Rajesh Tandon and Dr. Bandopadhyay. I'm not sure whether they are seeing us live, but they actually inculcated into us that it's not only online, you have to go offline also. So, these strategies, these activities which we have implemented, it's a mix of online and offline. So I'll just quickly highlight maybe. So one of the huge successful events was this Chandigarh Live. It was like a live public bike sharing demo. So in fact, 2 weeks before only this project got implemented in Chandigarh, and coincidentally, I happened to be in Chandigarh the last week, and still the commissioner was like, thanks to you guys. So what we tried to do was we did this live demo in which, so definitely we just did this in one sector of Chandigarh, and we actually took cycles on rent and saw that what is the need, what is the demand of the people, whether people actually want to rent cycles and use this public bike sharing scheme. So that was like a tale of win, which was like of a hit, because even last week the
I think Sri got disconnected.
She did get disconnected,
Okay.
but let me
We'll just wait. Yeah.
let me take up where she was going. But
Yeah.
so essentially, what our pilot did was that for one specific city, we tried to understand what is the need. What is the need for citizen engagement, and what are the ways that the city can fulfill that need? And so, through a series of pilot activities, she was just describing the public bike sharing activity, which was basically done to gauge the demand for a particular project. In this case, it was a public bike sharing project. And what it also did was it gave us a good scale of what people would be willing to pay for it. So it gave us a good financial scale for what the ability of the citizen would be. And we were able to chart, like it was a very simple exercise. And I would say that what it did was it highlighted the profile of the smart city project in the city, and it also really drove home the commitment of the city to put a very much in demand project in development phase, right? So it communicated the intent of the city to listen to the needs of the people, because we saw that public bike sharing was something that was coming up again and again. The rest of the cities in the Tri-City area in Chandigarh, they already had it, and so we knew this was a priority for the people of Chandigarh, and that's why through this project we were able to communicate the intent. Shree's back, so Shree can pick it up again. Shree, I was just talking about how we what we really sort of accomplished
sorry.
through our pilot project.
Right. Thanks, Nandini. I think these are the realities of hosting these kind of events on virtual.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Shree, why don't you pick up after our pilot project? Because I think I've
yeah. So yeah, I think you guys have done that.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about our like all the stakeholders that we consulted during this time?
Yeah. So being the citizen engagement group and working for this, we tried to actually consult different kinds of stakeholders, be it on government side, be it on citizen side. So I think since we kind of, tested a hypothesis in NDMC, which is New Delhi Municipal Council first, the new NDMC Smart City. So we tried to understand, so whatever kind of tools we created, which we wanted to implement in our pilot project, we tested that in NDMC Smart City, and there we happened to meet different kind of people. Definitely in ministry, we have a varied kind of mentors, starting from the JS level to the mission management unit and everyone. Definitely on citizen side, of course, our first target was resident welfare associations and market trade associations. Also going into self-help groups, area level federations, informal vendors. So we kind of tried to, consult and talk to each type of diverse citizen group, senior citizens also. And in fact, Chandigarh is such a city where, there is a huge amount of seniors, and really, like when the challenges, like as senior citizens, what's their major problem? What do they want from the city? So in the process, we kind of took, for all these people, that's how our product is kind of, meaningful, and it's on real grounds. And definitely we took expertise from different sector level experts, starting from Janagraha to, I think, Cure, and all these, Ideas 42, and all these kind of people who are actually working for citizen engagement, public involvement. So, taking inputs from these people, these sector experts and everyone, we tried to build on our product. So I would not really focus so much on this, because we have kind of created a video, and since it's officially not launched, we are unfortunate that we won't be able to show the live version of our toolkit. But our product is like a one-stop solution, which allows urban administrators to get the best engagement plan of involving their citizens, and it is based on logistical resources, financial resources, and also they get to see successful uh, cases which are already implemented either globally or in India. So this is what we have tried to build in our product. So it's like a repository of resources. There are a large amount of tools which anyone can use, be it academicians, be it urban administrators, to involve citizens. So I'll quickly show a small clip of our product. I'm not sure why isn't it not loading. Yeah.
Introducing Epic, a foolproof formula by team involved for successful citizen engagement practices. Epic lets you create a customized project-specific
Nandini, I think the internet is an issue, so you can show the video from your end. Shree's internet.
Sorry, guys. I think there is some major issues from my internet front.
So that is a constraint.
I'll just try.
Shri, would you like me to share it?
Okay, so I'm already on the screen.
Yeah.
I am not sure. I think, Nandini, it's better if you can share your screen. I think there is some huge internet issues.
So all these problems it keeps us constant only in this day's program. So not to worry, take your time.
Yeah, really.
Introducing EPIC, a foolproof formula by team involved for successful citizen engagement practices. EPIC lets you create a customized project-specific engagement plan unique to your city, your people, and your budget. Use the Data Hub to get helpful insights on your city and population by comparing your city with the other smart cities. View your city's performance in the Smart City Challenge on public involvement. Built with 16 sample cities in mind, you can create an integrated action plan for your city. Use these categories to create your own solutions. From the most common stakeholder groups listed by us, decide the stakeholders to consult for your projects. Get the best worldwide practices to spark your imagination. Use the City Index to rank yourself on citizen engagement and gauge what else you need to succeed. From World Bank formats to surveys, posters you can use, all you need for a successful project is here. Whether you're a public administrator in a ULB or a development board or authority, EPIC can be accessed and used by all. This pyramid created by the team helps in delivering a stepwise action plan of your targeted partners' best methods and tools with a budget. In Chandigarh, we implemented 14 strategies to feedback for upcoming projects involved entire Chandigarh in an ideas hackathon. And in 2 months' time, we received detailed impact from students, professors, and everyone in the city. All you need is to download these from SmartCode. On the SmartCode, click on Know More to visit the EPIC website and view the data dashboard, action plan, resources, and City Index pages. Using EPIC, reach your stakeholders, identify their concerns, and achieve your targets. This is our effort to ensure that the urban development processes unite the futuristic India and Bharat at the same time.
This is wonderful, guys. This was really amazing.
Saurav, but I think
thank I think, yeah, Nandini can go ahead. Shree's internet is fluctuating. Yeah.
Yeah. So also, guys, I think behind so much of effort, we can also understand at the same time how much of support there has been from the ministry and so much of follow-up, I think Kunal sir and Rahul sir had to do to ensure that we had the best mentors in place. We had the proper connect with the cities. So also I think we should like wholeheartedly thank Rahul sir, who's already here, and also Kunal sir for this. I think this is a wonderful gift to the smart cities and also to the citizens at large. Yes, so I can't see anyone. So anyways.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think it all goes to the ministry and our mentors, where we were,
Right.
and of course our fellow colleagues who were
Exactly.
able to, we were able to critique, we were able to understand and create this. And yeah, all the guidance from Rahul sir, Kunal sir, and Janki ma'am, we were able to develop something which would be useful for at least cities and yeah, other cities around, scaling it up.
Right. And sir, since you're here, if you could also tell us like how has been your journey managing so many fellows with so many ideas and putting those ideas into a shape, like kind of narrow down their ideas and then into implementation. Sir, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So I think the whole fellowship engagement was one of the best part of my portfolio. It's like the whole energy that was imbibed in my working, one. Secondly, the whole plethora of new ideas that I was faced with and actually getting to learn. There was a lot of reverse mentoring that happened actually. So it was like whenever somebody would come up to have a discussion, so it opened up my vision. It gave me a lot of new insights, and it was a whole amount of new learning for me because there are a lot of things which were fairly novel, and in fact everything was fairly novel here. I am not from the urban sector. I come from a finance background, and now being put in this position wherein I'm supposed to look at different sectors, and this was a learning for me as well, be it in water, be it in mobility. So fantastic experience. I think it's a win-win situation for everyone who becomes part of this fellowship program, including the administrators who are running the program.
Right, sir. And also, like when we started, the ministry proposed a very unique model for this particular fellowship. Like it, so how could Kunal sir and you have dreamed that it has to be like a you always used to give example of UPI, that you start in a small way, be an entrepreneurial one, and you gave us so much space to think, learn, try and fail, and again redo it. So what made you come to this model? And definitely it's the most unique model of fellowship I think have ever been introduced by any ministries.
So see, our whole idea was we always used to keep saying bottoms up engagement, let the people who are actually doing get full autonomy, and the whole 74th Amendment talk. So it was time to put things into practice, and that's where this whole idea of running the first fellowship, and of course it was a learning curve for us as well. So what best way than to actually let the innovation come up bottoms up and let people have a free hand, and we were only trying to maybe channelize it or facilitate it or guide it whenever any support was required. But I don't think there was much that we needed to do. It was the whole energy that came up bottoms up from all the 40 of the fellows, and in fact all the projects was so good. I don't know, we are still engaged with all of you guys, right? That's the
Absolutely.
whole positive outcome of this whole exercise.
Right. Okay, guys. Then, so how? Did I interrupt you, or there was more to your presentation?
No, you can go ahead with the next sets of questions.
Right. So, how has been your experience working with the administration, with like central government, then with city, working with so many administrations and coordination? How has been your experience being a fresher?
Do you guys want to take it up?
Mayank, you have the most experience of the
fellowships.
No, I would say after the Swachh Bharat Fellowship and then coming to Smart City Fellowship, there were two different ends that was related to the rural sector and now suddenly in the urban sector. But yeah, the administration, the Chandigarh administration was really helpful, and I think we were able to build that trust among them to cater to what we wanted to do and what they were looking for us. Like first, we tried to understand what is the basic issue in terms of they are facing in citizen engagement, and try to pull in our innovative ideas and their learnings so that we can, cater to the diverse set of people in Chandigarh, and also aligning with the ministry goals of, taking quadruple helix, where you have to cater to four sets of things, whether it's academic or the RWAs or the industries. So all these were catered in our project. So it was overall a great experience in terms of learning for us also, as well as interacting with them. I can share some incidents. It's funny incidents. It is we used to go to this complaint grievance officer who was there in Chandigarh. And then it used to be like, we used to tell him so many things at one go. And he would be just sitting idle like this. And he would be just like, okay. And he would not be able to understand what's happening and what's going on. And then we try to put it in his way, and suddenly, ये आप कैसे करोगे? ये हो नहीं पाएगा ऐसे. When we tried to put in public sharing, नहीं, हमें नहीं लगता आप कर पाओगे. ये कैसे हो जाएगा? It's not possible with 3 of you guys. 4 of us, how can you do this? He said, no, let's run it a pilot and see how it works out. But yeah, that trust and with the CEO trust was there, and of course support from the ministry that led us to come to that aligned thing that okay, we all are in the same pace. There were multiple meetings with multiple stakeholders so that everyone come to the same line, and then we tried to say okay, and each step, like you can see 14 strategies. These were not done in one day. It was like continuous 3-4 months of effort where we took one step, and that trust was built up, and and then we were able to do it. And they still call us and say, when are you guys going to come, or when are the next set of fellows going to come? And I think the next set of fellows are there to go ahead in Chandigarh. So yeah, it was the motivation from Kunal sir and Rahul sir. Wherever we stopped, wherever things were not working, that push from ministry as well as their motivation for us to go ahead. You guys can do it. Yeah. So that helped us to do this.
Am I audible?
So yeah, Nandini can show this.
So, we prepared this very simple slide. Essentially, I'm so sorry.
No. Go on, please.
Right. So, we prepared this very simple slide. This is basically to summarize sort of what our experience has been like. As a general philosophy, you sort of get the same kind of response to the energy that you put out. And so what we've experienced in, governance, what we've experienced in administrations, whether it's from, the Smart City Mission, or whether it's from the ministry, or whether it's from the Chandigarh administration, or from the Chandigarh Smart City Limited, which is the SPV. What we've seen is that, today to succeed in working with governments, one needs to be very solutions oriented. Because obviously the thing is that delineating what the problem is very simple, and obviously there is no dearth of explaining what the problem statement is going to be. What we need is people who will be able to say that, okay, this is the problem statement, this is the solution. The second is, trying to be very accessible. This also brings me to the point of convergence. The Smart Cities mission also really promotes convergence in a big way, which is convergence among not only the missions that the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has, but also converging in terms of ideas, converging in terms of, what is the jurisdiction going to be, converging in terms of what is the best way of providing a service or a platform to the people. It involves being very pragmatic. So for instance, we knew that we could run a pilot program way back in 2019, but the actual program is only going to be delivered in 2020. But that doesn't mean that we don't need to run the pilot program, because that has a value of its own. And finally, something that I think we've sort of seen everywhere is this relentless, completely endless energy that we've encountered among every officer that we work with. We've encountered at every level to really get the job done. And that is actually, I think that kind of sums up my experience of working with government, which is that there is such a drive and there is such a zeal and motivation to have the best possible solution delivered in the best possible way. And I think that would be our message. Shri, Mayank, would you like to add?
Yeah, I think that actually sums up what we also faced in the last 1 year, that there is this constant push from the administration, definitely, but as even I was mentioning, and even Sir was mentioning, and Nandini also mentioned, this feedback loop has to be closed somehow. So it's like a two-way process, definitely. So it has to be both ways. So I think there is this huge push from the administration, and which we also gathered a lot of learnings in the past 2 years from this. And yeah, so that's it. Anything else additionally, Mayank, you would like to add on?
No, I think, we have summed up our experience in a way. Yeah, we can go ahead.
So Sharanya has a question. So after she asks, we will.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, of course.
Well, it is a bit similar to what Saurav asked. I think I got the thought only after listening to his question. So if this could be, anyone could take this, or all of you could take it in turns. What I wanted to ask is, from your fresher experience, or from the entire project experience, the entire comprehensive experience, if I were to ask you tomorrow, considering you would, obviously you would be in a leadership role in the government. So if you were to get that position, what is the one thing that you would like to take forward, which you have probably learned from these experiences or from your mentors, if you are to be in that leadership position in the government? So one thing that you would take forward, and the one thing that you would not want to propagate, or maybe you would want to amend it in a certain way and then take it forward in your own, personalized fashion. So what is the one thing that you have that is strongly stuck with you, that, okay, this is something I need to take it forward, and this is something maybe I need to not so much take it forward or amend it and work on my own? So yeah, all of you could take it, or, I'll leave it to you guys.
I really want to start over here, because honestly, the thing that has stuck to me the most is from the beginning of our experience in 2019 as a team, when we used to approach Rahul sir for his inputs, and he used to always say, stick to the essentials, like answer the basic questions of your domain. Like he would always be like, go to the root of the problem. And that approach will work for anything. That approach will work for absolutely any kind of project, any kind of domain, any kind of solution that you're trying to find. And that's definitely something that I'm going to try to apply every single place where I can.
Yeah.
Right. And also, would Sri and Mayank want to give your views, or Nandini has represented the team?
I think, the basic 5 whys which sir used to ask, kyun, why, which,
Yes,
and we used
of
to be
course,
like,
of course. That's
ये क्यों कर
that's
रहे हैं?
that.
And this will help us in longer run, of course.
So
How?
also the same line, I would like to also raise one question. So one day, few of us were having a chat with Kunal sir in his office. So one thing sir told us, the main reason for this fellowship is to build unstructured thinking within the ministry. So which is often done in big multinational companies, and sir has that vision and that passion and that style of running the government. So you have worked at the ministerial level, at the state level, and also at the city level. So do you think that the administration, the local level, has built that kind of openness or maturity to take this unstructured thinking of youth within the system in their practice or in the implementation?
Do you guys want to take this?
I
They
think,
have, of course, they.
yeah. So Mayank, you can start, and then maybe
Yeah.
I can also add upon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, of course, they have started it up, that openness for youth. The TULIP program, I think people who are there and watching us live, the TULIP program has actually helped the cities to get the interns to do a hands-on experience on the urban related issues. And that this has created, there are thousands of interns which are working, 900 or something openings are there. Each cities have interns now. And they have opened up their platter, come, go ahead, and we are ready to, take up this challenge and do it. And you have various hackathons, you have various state level, city level, district level, and center level. So city is open for it, and they are trying to put in the youth to work on the various urban related issues. And there are various other fellowship. Of course, the Smart City Fellowship is unique by itself to give us an opportunity to, it's an opportunity to us to do hands-on and learn while doing what Kunal sir's objective is. So Sri Nandini and Nandini can add on to how cities are so open for the youth to work.
I think, of course, Mayank mentioned about TULIP, and also similar kind of fellowships are also designed at state level and city level. Of course, in fact, Delhi CM Fellowship is there, Punjab Fellowship. So I think it's like a drive which has already started, and bringing in the youth mind, the youth creative skill sets, which is required for doing, as always Kunal sir mentions, out of the box thinking. So I think that's very much important, and it's slowly imbibing into the city level, definitely. And as we already see, like TULIP has got very good, like all the ULBs are trying to bring in people and have started. So it's a very good success rate, definitely. And also the state fellowships, which are individually running and bringing in these youth minds. I think it's a good drive that has already started. So yeah, that's the thing.
Can I take
Right.
a minute and
Yes,
not
yes.
talk about QLIF for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is that QLIF is one of the most, it's the driving, it's the driving sort of program that is incorporating, sort of lateral entry of young people into municipal corporations and local self-governments. That is definitely the most organized and structured way of doing it that we've seen today. At the same time, I really believe that today we're seeing governments being more open to receiving ideas and solutions from the industry, from the ecosystem than ever before. And the clearest example is that the government is routinely organizing all these competitions, these hackathons. So I mentioned MyGov. The thing about the platform is that there are constantly, not just from MoHUA, but like from all of the consolidated effort of the government is to reach out to citizens, is to organize and incentivize people to come on board at the platform, to give their inputs. These incentives are actually even cash incentives. So nothing says intent like cash, right? I want to say that just the plethora of fellowships, of internships, the lateral entry into government positions, a lot of that is just basically signaling that right now more than ever the government is open to young people really participating, taking away what are the challenges, because it's a learning process, right? Like now, even sort of you must know that you have such a great like in-depth understanding of if you wanted to get a project pushed, if you wanted to have a project implemented in the city, you know what the opportunities are, and you know what the challenges are. So I definitely think that it's a good time for these engagement platforms.
Right. Great to hear that from people who are actually working within the system. And I think it's a great motivation for people who are trying to get engaged from outside, who are not part of any fellowship or internships with the government. And also, I think it's a very good learning when people start applying and start involving in this internships. Maybe it is a voluntary basis, but or a stipend. But it's a great experience, which I can call from my experience and also from the words of my colleagues today at the panel. So I think we had a very good interaction today, and it was so great that the model which was demonstrated to the audience, that the youth together with the government can come up with such a great projects, and the kind of mentoring role and the kind of managerial role which was played by higher officials in the ministry. And yes, from Youth for Good Governance too, we are really thankful to Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs for creating this platform. And a happy news also came for the youth who are watching the live today, that another fellowship is getting rolled out. So yes, Toot Paro for the application. So before we leave, if I can also see a lot of my colleagues in the participants list. If you all can switch on your camera, we can just end this session with the Zoom selfie. And also I request, sir, if you could kindly switch on your video. Yeah.
I can see Anindita, Naman, Hino, Ankit.
Right. So guys,
I think Sia is from the second cohort. So.
Right. How do I make everyone visible?
To gallery view. Gallery view.
Okay.
Do you get it?
Yes. Right. So also rest can if switch on their videos. I don't know, like whether they were.
Anindita is directly from UK.
Oh,
and
even Sanjay was there, I saw.
The mutant strain which has come
in. Right. So great to connect.
Zia is also there.
For such a long time.
Right. No, it was really a great session, and personally for me to get to interact with you after such a long time. And sir, thank you once more for giving us so much of time and your valuable inputs, and also staying with us till the end of the session to listen to the fellows, listen to our interaction, and also giving your inputs. Thank you, everyone. Sharanya, would you like to give the word of thanks?
Yes. Well, this has been our first very comprehensive webinar in this entire week. I think this is the first time ever that we had a presentation along with the talk. And Rahul sir, thank you for like staying back for the entire webinar. That means a lot. That shows your support in spirit. That's really great of you. And you guys have done a commendable job. I could see from the presentation how granular and comprehensive at the same time it was, you know, and the entire, it was like a marriage between technology and concept. You guys have done it so well and you've delivered it so well that, you know, kudos to you guys. Huge round of appreciation coming your way. Thank you so much, all of you, for taking time out. Mayank, Sri Nandini, and of course, Rahul sir. I think, yeah, he's there. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I think we've been saying this innumerable times, but we would love to collaborate with you anytime in future. And all the best for your upcoming programs, especially Tulip. Wishing you the very best for that and hope to be in touch with all of you. Thank you so much for taking time out.
Thank you so much, and of course, we'll definitely engage. For good governance is something which, anything that has to do with youth, I'm sure we are all game for it. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Merry Christmas,
Saurabh and
Happy
Sharanya,
New
for having
Year.
us.
Saurabh and Sharanya, like,
Yeah, wish
this
you all a
is
very Merry
amazing
Christmas.
to see this, really.
Yeah.
Sharanya, Saurabh knows where to find us, so please hunt
Sure.
him for that.
Yes. We'll stop you
Right.
down and hunt you down and get you on board.
And thank you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.